Jess, and once again, this one is going to be over the journey of 8 laps, but there's a twist in the story. It's a reverse grid based on the finishing order of that last race that we witnessed, with a compulsory stop. Another 75 points to the victor. Weather locked on a beautiful 18 degrees. Predicted stop between laps 1 and 4. And a little useless fact, every Dunlop tyre does 3,100 revolutions per lap around Mount Panorama.
You would be very good for trivia, Crompo. I'll keep that in mind. So a reverse grid means that Fabian Coulthard will start from pole position as we take a look at the truck assist starting grid. He got caught up, Matty, in a fair bit of carnage in the opening lap and through the race of that last one. But the good news is all you have to do is press the button and reset.
And away you go, ready for the next race. So, as Crompo said, another 8-lapper. I reckon this is going to be a screamer, especially with the truck assist starting grid lining up like this. So, as you mentioned, position number 1 will go to Fabian Coulthard. He'll have Jake Kostecki, who's Brodie's cousin, next to him on the front row. Then it's Jack Smith and Chris Pither in row 2. Now, check this out. So Simona Di Silvestro has Will Davison next to her. That's a 2-time Bathurst champion. Andre Heimgartner has Rick Kelly. That's a 2-time Bathurst champion. Gary Jacobson has Jamie Whincup. That's a 4-time Bathurst 1000 champion. Then we've got Davey Reynolds there, who's also a Bathurst champion. So in positions 1 to 11, there's a combined 9 Bathurst 1000 victories. This has got all sorts of excitement written all over it. Bryce Fullwood, the Mobil 1 Middies entry. Cam Waters and Lee Holdsworth side by side for positions 17 and 18. Todd Hazelwood, we saw his great battle, the Plus Fitness Commodore against the Dunlop super dealer Holden. Also their teammate MACAULEY Jones in that. Mark Winterbottom gets away from position 22. Scotty McLaughlin and Will Power. How's that for symmetry? Side by side, but way back in 23 and 24, 25 and 26. Then covered as well Anton Di Pasquale from 27, Brodie Kostecki in 28, and the man who's now won 3 races on the trot in the BP Supercars All-Stars E-Series, Shane van Gisbergen, will get away from last in the grid. Crompo, I don't even know where to start with this one, because once this race gets going, like I just said before, we're so used to Bathurst getting into a rhythm, getting through the middle of the day. You always say, buy a ticket to get to the end. There are no tickets here. You just got to get on the bus and go as hard as you can.
I know, and the fact that they're all tipped upside down in terms of their starting order based on the result from that last race makes the whole thing that much more complex. So the drivers are starting to get into position. Anton Di Pasquale has been tremendously fast in practice and in qualifying and racing with these things. He tangled with Max Verstappen last weekend when we were on air. There's Brodie Kostecki, who's driving for Penrite Racing later in the year. I actually just got a text as you were talking a moment ago from Mark Webber, who's watching us parked up somewhere around the world, watching some BP Supercars All-Stars E-Series racing. G'day to MW for this evening. There's Todd Hazelwood, who was all up for the idea about a bit of chat midweek, but when we started to talk to him during this, it got that little bit harder. Chris Pither for Coca-Cola Racing on screen there, and he's driving for Team Sydney. Simona Di Silvestro is joining us from Europe. She's driving from Switzerland this evening, and she's driving a Mustang, having spent the last several years driving for the factory Nissan outfit, and Bathurst was the location for her Supercars debut. David Reynolds, as you pointed out quite rightly a moment ago, Matt was a Bathurst victor, and what a great story he is. So Matt Stone Racing, well represented for their guys this evening. A bit of new gear tonight also for Rick Kelly. He's hotted up some of the equipment. He's got a new steering wheel and some new pedals, and has actually been having a bit of fun with the homemade rig. Jack LeBrock for Super Cheap Auto Racing, he's all good to go. He's all branded up. He's got the spare helmets in the background. You can never have too many. So he's all set to go. Alex Davison, local legends, and he's driving for Team Sydney as well. So looking forward to this one, and then coming up a little bit later in the show, we've got a 14-lapper where there are 2 stops, and they'll have to take a tiny splash of fuel, but the tyres cover it through that, and that's going to be a strategy play. Cam Waters was funny when I spoke to him earlier in the day, that story about having to sweat up when he's doing it. Just goes to show how much mental application's involved in trying to drive one of these things successfully. Irwin Racing, Mark Winterbottom, a Bathurst winner and a Supercars champion on screen. He's good to go. And the fact that the field is inverted means that there's a huge probability of there being a Vodafone safety car appearance in this one. 6,213 metres of racetrack, 23 corners, reverse grid. And we're set now for race number 9. Pit straight to the top of the hill. The difference is 570 feet or 174 metres. The tyres are cold, and Coulthard Coulthard gets away for a very nice start, converts nicely. He said in this pause period, it's been nice to be with the family. He's got brand new gear and he's using it very well. And though we are in 2020, oh, and a monumental roll for Alex Davison in the background in the local legends entry. And that's likely to trigger a safety car unless he can evaporate. So, and he has. So that was monumentally quick. But a bit spooky through turn one. So Alex Davison out of business. Looked like he got tipped over down there. So our leader at the moment is Fabian Coulthard. He's got a chunky margin and running wide. Oh, and this troubled Pither has gone wide at 2 and into the fence, and Brody copped him as well. And that's right at the awkward spot in the apex of turn 2. That's a bad place to be parked up. Hopefully the rest of the field's got through there, Matty. So we've got Fabian Coulthard leading. I'll come back to a little story about him shortly, but a chaotic start. And the fact that the field's inverted means there's probably going to be more contact.
Shane van Gisbergen's jumped from 29 up to about 20th at the moment. So that incident for Chris Pither could have hurt the back markers, of course, who were the winners and the leaders in our previous race tonight. Top of the hill, Will Power sticking wide through McPhillamy. Up to Skyline, there's trouble for MACAULEY Jones. He hits the left-hand side of the wall, but he's somehow managed to hold on to it.
I think that was. And I thought I saw Van Gisbergen in the background. Now, he's just come off the back of another race victory, and that was a triple treat of race wins for him. And trouble for Jack Smith at the elbow for the SCT Logistics Commodore. It's looking worse for wear. He's done some aero work on the back of it. So it's got no boot, rear wing. There won't be much left at the front of it at this rate. So quick flick spin. So Van Gisbergen's also minus the wing assembly on the back of that car, and that puts paid to the ridiculously strong run that he's had at Catalunya and earlier this evening at Mount Panorama. So the order at the moment is Fabian Coulthard over Jake Kostecki. Remember, there is a compulsory stop. Andre Heimgartner in the foreground from Will Davison and Gary Jacobson in the yellow cover racing entry, and Will gets all crossed up and sits on the top of the curb on the exit. So Coulthard, Kostecki, Heimgartner, Davison. This is the battle for third and fourth, and Will has a big sneak look down the inside. Decided to get back onto the cleaner racing line, and the track behaves like a real racetrack. So there is a racing groove. It does have more grip, and the tyres do come on in terms of temperature, grip and behaviour. Heimgartner's got extreme pressure at the moment. He got his first sim about 14 years of age. He hasn't been heavily into it, but he's had to concentrate on it recently, and he's just dropped a spot to Will Davison, and Wilbur moves up into third spot for Milwaukee Racing.
Beautiful job at turn 2. Heimgartner had pressure all the way up Mountain Straight. Davison had a look on the right, on the left. Heimgartner shut the door, but it was precision driving from the Milwaukee racer. And he now shoots up to third position behind Coulthard and Kostecki. BP Ultimate Replay off the start. So this will explain Alex Davison. Up on 2 wheels, holds, flips. He's gone. Scotty Pye's already gone over by himself, or out there anyway, and Alex Davison just ends up getting airtime at Hell Corner. With the push of a button, he's back in pit lane.
I always start with the noble concept of being able to write down all the incidents, and I get to about 3 seconds into the race and that is all over. But bad news there at turn 1 for Alex Davison, driving the local legends Holden Commodore in the balance of the Virgin Australia Supercars Championship. So Heimgartner's got some damage down the right-hand side. He's been displaced back into 4th position. Ned Racing Ford Mustang. And we'll go to the Queensland bunker for an update from Craig Baird, just as Will Davison gets a very tardy exit, locked up on the run into the elbow, and that means his corner exit speed will be down. Half a chance to get snipped here, Bairdo. We'll go to you as soon as we can. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, we saw Shane van Gisbergen get turned around going off Skyline, so Thomas Randall, car 49, will get a drive-through penalty for avoidable contact.
Thank you for that. So that's the reason why Shane van Gisbergen is pointing in the wrong direction. Meantime, this is a fabulous battle involving Heimgartner, Jacobson, Will Davison, and diving into the pit lane is Jamie Whincup. Now, the Ned Whiskey crew have actually also come up with an inventive solution to help in this crisis at the moment as well. So they've converted some of their manufacturing capability to being able to produce sanitizer. So the good news for Andre tonight is his hands are very clean and safe, and Ned Whiskey are doing their bit to help in this crisis at the moment.
He might have to be handsy right here, because he's now got another big handful of Will Davison and again Gary Jacobson up Mountain Straight. This time, repeat performance from Will, and he gets that one as well, and maybe Jacobson's going to go with him on the outside at the cutting. He's seen it before, he saw it again, and it was exactly the same outcome.
Well, Will and Andre are having these strange moments where they're arriving hot into a bunch of these corners and then running wide and then recovering, and it's allowing Gary Jacobson to sweat on the back of them as well. Top of the hill, tucked in behind them at the moment is Jack McGrock. Now, remembering that there's a compulsory stop in this one, we've already seen roughly half the field have actually taken their stop, and the leader of that queue is actually Jamie Whincup at the moment, as we pick up Lee Holdsworth and truck assist entry, and Scott McLaughlin, who came into the round tonight as the championship leader in the BP Supercars All-Stars E-Series, and that's Chaz Mostert tucked right in behind. Lee Holdsworth, bottom right-hand corner of screen for truck assist. He joined Tickford Racing. He had a great back end of the 2019 Virgin Australia Championship season. He's got his hands full at the moment, and you can see he's got full wraparound vision in his simulator, so he's got a full view of exactly where McLaughlin is and how he was able to make that pass stick. And now his old teammate Chaz Mostert's on the attack here as well. Lee's given it away to come in and grab some fresh Dunlop tyres.
So Coulthard's lead 2.1 seconds over Jake Kostecki. Cam Waters 8 seconds back from the leader. There's 4 or 5 of them now in pit lane. Lights flashing means the pit lane limiter has been activated. It's cool to watch these, Crompo, isn't it?
And it's a 50km/h pit lane speed limit set for the iRacing game for this evening. There's Lee Holdsworth in just as Nick Percat departs in the Dunlop Super Dealers entry, together with his teammate from Cool Drive, MACAULEY Jones. Fabian Coulthard is continuing in the lead with a 2-second margin over Jake Kostecki. And yes, to answer your question, Matty, it's very cool. I've had an ordinary with an underline and a bold couple of goes in the iRacing game around Mount Panorama, and I can promise you that the behaviour of the track, the look of the circuit, and the general behaviour of the car is 100% realistic. What is incredibly difficult to do is to be able to understand how to anticipate the way in which the car is going to behave, because you're minus all of the normal sensors that would drive some of those outcomes. And that's where some of the drivers have been really battling, trying to understand what the car's going to do. And you certainly, as you do in a real race car, get a reward for finesse, but there's a very fine line between pushing too hard and under-driving the cars, and trying to find that, trying to surf that edge is pretty difficult. Now, one of the other things that's interesting about tonight versus a typical trip to Mount Panorama, as we do each October, is that the game speed is up dramatically. So Anton's take on this is that the behaviour of the cars is being set up around the behaviour of the Dunlop soft tyre, and as we look at the Bunnings Trade Power Pass, I'll come back to that point. But they're very, very quick at the moment. We've seen practice in the ones, and this is McLaughlin getting down the inside nicely at the chase of Lee Holdsworth, which if you do that in reality, you've got to be millimetre perfect to be able to do it, because if you catch that inside curbing, you'll have a huge lock-up moment on the run into the left-hander at the chase. Now, whoa, Brody and Shane. A disturbance on Conrod Straight, and Kostecki actually got it onto the grass. He managed to rescue it. He would have cleared the throttle and grabbed it by the scruff to straighten it up. I'm not sure whether, in fact, there was contact as a result of that, but he's back in the grass once more and still recovering. He's got Anton on the other side of him, so this is on with McLaughlin as our leader at the moment.
And Mostert and MACAULEY Jones as well, dicing behind these two. So McLaughlin and Mostert yet to pit. Your effective race leader is Fabian Coulthard, but we can't keep our eyes off this battle. Shane van Gisbergen, Anton De Pasquale, Brody Kostecki, there's MACAULEY Jones, there's Bryce Fullwood. And remember, another $1,000 thanks to Armour All at the end of this round to the round winner. The driver who accumulates the most point will go to their chosen charity. Shane van Gisbergen donated $1,000 to Wings for Life after taking that last week, thanks to Armour All, and it's back on again this Wednesday night. Rightio. So Scott McLaughlin and Chaz Mostert still yet to pit on lap 5 out of 8. They will have to circulate and lose 25.5 seconds in doing so through pit lane.
And car number 49 has now completed that drive-through, by the way. So 2 cars are yet to take their compulsory stop. McLaughlin's the leader over Mostert. First in the queue that has stopped is Fabian Coulthard. Fastest car in terms of the actual stationary time out there has been, it's actually been shared between Van Gisbergen was quick and so was Cam Waters. We pick up on the Milwaukee Racing entry of Will Davison, who's twice been a winner at Mount Panorama. Vastly experienced at this place, a lot of muscle memory involved in doing laps around here, whether it be in a real race car or in the iRacing game. That's him in the foreground. Jamie Whincup in the background as a 4-time Bathurst 1000 winner. Oh, and a huge moment with Gary Jacobson, and they both clout the concrete wall, and they grab Jack LeBrock in the process. Whincup, LeBrock and Jacobson out of business. More people getting tangled in this as well as Jamie climbs back on with huge damage on that car.
I think it was one of the Penrite races that had to go spearing through the sand trap as well. So Gary Jacobson gets back out onto the track. VP Ultimate Replay will show ultimate carnage here. You're riding on board with Gary Jacobson, the yellow cover Commodore. There's the contact halfway down Conrod Straight. Huge damage at close to 300 kilometres an hour. Oh, amazing. Jamie Whincup, just as Crompo was reading his credentials, 4-time champion here, done the lot, now gets to the pit. And speaking of our Pertec pit reporters, Chad and Jonathan.
Well, Anton De Pasquale was one of the really big losers there. It was just bang, bang down Conrod and show over for Anton. He was running with those front guys. Hey, interesting strategy, this one from Scott McLaughlin. Typically, strategy A in the reverse grid races is to pit early. He's done the complete opposite tonight.
Yeah, so Crompo, as you discussed in the Hedo Hub, we were expecting these drivers to pit around laps 1 to 4, but by our championship leader staying out, he's lapping about a second quicker than his rivals at the moment, so he might come in at the second to last lap. He cannot pit on the final lap. That's against the rules.
So it's either this time by or next for Scott McLaughlin, but as it stands, it's still looking good for Fabian Coulthard and also Cam Waters to potentially be on the podium.
Yeah, when you stop and consider the transit time and the stationary time, boys, to be able to take on the tyres, and you look at the margins that they've got over Fabian Coulthard at the moment, it is not going to result in a race victory for Scott McLaughlin. He's going to drop down the order, probably somewhere in the order of the mid-top 10, I would imagine, there or thereabouts.
So 25.5-second transit time, and Zane Goddard at the moment is 27 seconds behind Scott McLaughlin, who's come in position 6. So he's come in. They go through the chase again. Will Power's in this mix. So position 8 for the Verizon car of Will Power, driving from his home in North Carolina early in the morning over there. He's been up for a while, been through practice, been through qualifying. It's great to have him as part of our BP Supercars All-Stars E-Series. One of 4 wild cards in this round after Max Verstappen lit it all up for us last weekend, and expect more to come. So McLaughlin, where does he come out?
Yeah, let's see where he drops in here. He's showing on our computer timing at the moment, sitting in 5th, which was about where my rough math was going to sit him. And he's parked just in front of David Reynolds, Zane Goddard for Matt Stone Racing, Will Power, Shane Van Gisbergen and Andre Heimgartner there in the background. Now remember, he's got a cold tyre to wrestle for the first lap, so he's got to be a little bit careful until the car starts to behave like it would under normal circumstances. So just one car in this field of 29 at the moment, Matt, that's not yet stopped, and that's Chaz Mostert for Walkinshaw. Andretti United, and Will Power wipes the exit wall at the tyre power cutting turn 4. So in the Verizon entry, with the colours reflecting his IndyCar, Will's had a little moment there. He's a 2014 Series champion in IndyCar and 4 times the runner-up, and the Indy 500 winner of 2018. So we're riding with Brody Kostecki. He's sitting in 9th at the moment behind Shane Van Gisbergen. And this is the run down towards the Dipper. Second gear, it's about 80 kilometres an hour. Third, and then it's a blind approach into this right-hand kink into Forest Elbow. Back to second gear here, about 85 kilometres an hour in the mid corner under normal circumstances. But back to that point that Anton was making to me earlier in the day, he said the way in which the car is reacting and feeling, it's as though you would be driving on the softer tyre, and he said hence the reason why a lot of people are asking where's the speed coming from. It's not actually the way that the iRacing game's being configured, but it's the way in which the cars are feeling to the drivers and the sort of lap speed that they're translating at the moment. But it's very, very quick. As we see our race leader come in now, and as he came off the racetrack, he had about 15 odd seconds in hand, a little bit more over Fabian Coulthard, and so he's also going to drop in somewhere there or thereabouts around McLaughlin, Reynolds, Goddard in that kind of middle of the top 10.
He's gone as long as you can go, as you heard Jonathan say. You can't pit on that final lap, so that was lap 7 out of 8. So this will bring Chaz Mostert back into the field around about 5th or 6th position, and it opens it up beautifully for Fabian Coulthard to get the victory here. He's got 5 seconds lead over Cameron Waters on the final lap. Our driving standards advisor Craig Baird, what do you got for us?
Yeah, we want car 97 to reposition behind car 56 for avoidable contact on Conrod Straight.
Okay, so Shane Van Gisbergen to drop back to 8th and allow Brody Kostecki to take that position. There they are. In front of Shane is Zane Goddard, and in front of Zane is Davey Reynolds.
That'll be a hard thing to do without losing another spot with Zane tucked in there and threatening as well. In fact, the minute you change the momentum of the car, you could be vulnerable even to the next group of cars. So he'll get that message and have to deal with it somehow. We are on the final lap, so
probably down the straight.
Yeah.
Pull aside.
Do it very carefully to try and sort of hold your ground.
There you go. He's done it. Done it. So field absolutely cleansed in terms of pit stops. Down Conrod for the last time, second last time this evening for Fabian as he gets the lights going. There's Alex Davison in front of him, who had an enormous start to this race in all the wrong ways. Into the wall in turn 1 for big contact. And Fabian, of course, in the real game, caught up in so much controversy here in 2019, but in the BP Supercars All-Stars E-Series will do this one comfortably. A reverse grid start for Fabian Coulthard. The Shell V-Power racer gets his first win of the E-Series in 2020.
Remember, he put together that 1-2 with Scott McLaughlin at Phillip Island early in the year, so that's a nice job for Fabian Coulthard. Oh, trouble back here into the final corner, and I looked down only to look up and see cars pointing in every direction. So you've got Van Gisbergen side by side with Goddard. So the order as they cross the line: Fabian Coulthard, Cam Waters, Will Davison, McLaughlin, Reynolds, Van Gisbergen, Goddard, followed by Mostert, Heimgartner, Kostecki. Let's go to Craig Baird quickly.
Yeah, we just tried a new penalty system. It worked really well, but Brody just locked the rears on the last corner there and sort of put pay to all the good work he's done. But for a rookie, he's done really well.
He has done very well. Thanks, mate. So nice work, and another podium for Fabian Coulthard. We'll cross back to Craig Baird on occasion during the evening. There's the view of the number 12 Shell V-Power racer, Fabian Coulthard, born in the UK, raised in New Zealand, lives in Australia, and a very strong operator for Shell V-Power Racing. This is 2020 AD. Fabian said to me earlier in the day that when he practices his sim racing, it has to be AK. After kids, he's got to do it after 7:30 each night so he doesn't annoy the family. Whatever he's done, it's worked, because he came home with a 4.4 second lead over Cam Waters, Monster Energy Ford Mustang, followed by Will Davison, Milwaukee Racing Mustang, Scott McLaughlin, Shell V-Power Racing Mustang, David Reynolds for Penrite Racing in the Commodore, Zane Goddard for Matt Stone Racing, Shane Van Gisbergen in 7th, Chaz Mostert, Andre Heimgartner and Brody Kostecki, who finished with some wild angles visible when we looked up and saw him down at the final corner that Craig Baird commented on. Will Power rubbed the wall on the exit at turn 4 at the cutting and did some damage, but he ended up in 11th place.
And how we finish this one is how we start the next one. So the first win of the series for Fabian Coulthard. He becomes the 6th winner in our 9 different races. Koala race highlights. It was a clean start from Fabs and the Shell V-Power Mustang off the start, but watch this for Alex Davison in the local Legends entry. Up on 2 wheels, he was never going to hold on to that, and way up into the air, onto the concrete barrier, back down again and straight to the pits. Trouble for Chris Pither here at turn 2, which also caused a few other cars some headaches as well. Shane Van Gisbergen up the top of the mountain, into the side of the wall, caused damage for him. He had the front and the rear damage here, but not as much as Jack Smith, who somehow got it up onto the side of the elbow and then got it back down again. Absolutely crazy. Scotty McLaughlin on Lee Holdsworth. That was a beautiful move entering the chase. This one was not so much, but Brodie Kostecki made a bit of a habit on this lap of holding on to it after having a few excursions out onto the grass. Car 35, you're riding on board there with Gary Jacobson, who makes heavy contact with Jamie Whincup. Jack LeBrock caught up in it as well, and Anton De Pasquale. So after they got through the compulsory pit stop, Fabian Coulthard had clean air and gets his first win of the BP Supercars All-Star C Series, and one more to go. The next one, 14 laps.
Indeed, and he'll start from pole position for that one. So can he make it 2 from 2? Let's chat with Fabian Coulthard now in our Coopers Live chat. Hey, Fabs, congratulations. A Bathurst winner in our E-Series. You probably have to keep the celebrations quiet tonight, though. The pit crew are in bed already?
Yeah, the pit crew are asleep, so, you know, they've been hard on my strategy and things like that, but I have to be kind of quiet in the room next door. But obviously, we've got another race to go. Got to save the celebrations and the champagne drinking till after the next race. But it's a lot of fun.
So tell us, you'll start from pole position for this next one. It's a longer race. We have seen some absolute carnage on the opening laps. How do you stay out of that?
You start on pole, hopefully. So, you know, that'll get us out of the carnage, and we just need to get off the line well. But, yeah, it's been a bit of a feature of all these races. There's been a little bit of carnage, so hopefully we'll be out of it in this.
Well, good luck. Great to chat with you. Have fun tonight. We can't wait for the final race.